my daughter Ziya. She's 7 years old. She's growing up. She needs a playroom makeover.
Time to clean.
Oh no. Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven. If you saw my last video, then you know that I am in the middle of making over my daughter Ziya's playroom. It has been looking real plain and drab pretty much ever since we moved into this house years ago. So it was definitely time for a makeover. Also, it was a mess. Toys everywhere, just looking ridiculous, and it has always looked like that. So not only do I want to make the room cute, but I also want it to be cleaned up, organized, and be able to stay that way for the most part. So in the last video, we decluttered, we cleaned everything out, we got rid of a bunch of stuff. I made a general design plan for the room. We went to IKEA and I purchased a bunch of stuff to do this IKEA Billy bookcase hack. So now it is time to actually dive into this IKEA Billy bookcase hack. But although I am a DIY girly and I've done a lot of different types of DIYs in my life, I have never done a DIY project like this before that involves power tools, cutting things with the saw and building wood pieces together. I've never done anything like this, so I'm honestly kind of nervous. IKEA stuff has been delivered. Rug has been delivered. I'm nervous about the rug because I was looking at further online images and the colors were quite different depending on what photo of it you were looking at. So I'm hoping that it is the colors that I thought it was and want it to be and not completely different shades, because I already ordered chairs to match. So hopefully the chairs actually do match, which even the chairs technically, I guess I don't know what those are gonna look like in person. The chairs are definitely green, not blue. So I'm hoping the middle of this rug is more green and not blue. What is that? Unknown substance on my brand new rug. Okay, stain and all. Let's see. It's in between the two colors that I thought it was. This is the part I was concerned about. All this part I think is fine, but this is the main color I was concerned about. And it's like, definitely more blue than I was hoping, but it is teal. It's at least not baby blue. I do still like the rug. I guess the question is, will the chairs look bad with it? It does look, is it dirty or is it like that?
Something tells me this rug has been used before.
Stain is here. It doesn't show through to the other side. Can I do a dramatic? No. Just as I feared, the rug does look a little bit different in person than it did online. The colors are just not quite what I thought they would be, but I don't hate it. I feel like it'll still work. I feel like it still gives the overall vibe that I was going for. But now that I'm seeing the rug, I have to decide, do I want the IKEA Billy bookcase hack, this whole wall of cabinets, to just be plain white, like how the IKEA stuff comes? Or do I want to add extra work by painting the whole thing a different color, probably a shade of pink to match the rug? Honestly, I'm kind of just thinking about how much work it's gonna be to paint the whole thing pink, but I do kind of feel like it would be cute. And I do want the room to be colorful, but I'm just not sure how much color is too much color. This is gonna be a big wall of cabinets. Now this was the calm before the storm. I thought that this was going to be the hard part, putting together all these IKEA pieces, so many different pieces that have to be assembled, but from there it's easy, right? Wrong. Boy, was I naive. Boy, was I wrong. This was the easy part.
I'm stuck.
You pulling it out?
Yeah.
Why do you have on pajamas?
Pajama day.
Oh, it's Red Ribbon Week.
What do you think?
I like it.
Are you gonna have fun organizing all of your teeny tiny toys into bins that fit nicely inside of here instead of inside on the floor? Wow.
Ziya is actually really excited for this whole entire playroom makeover. I've been running my ideas by her step by step to get her approval, and so far she really likes my ideas. Of course, I'm asking for her opinions within reason. This is kind of a controversial topic on my channel because in previous room makeovers, I haven't completely let her take the wheel and completely just do what she wants to do because she is a small child and some of her ideas are quite outlandish. And this is still our home. You know, I am still the adult of the house. So I feel as though it's okay for me to kind of rein it in, bring it in. You know, I want to hear her opinions and her ideas, but we got to do it within reason. So I do have the final say. You know, for example, Ziya asked if we could paint rainbow polka dots across the entire IKEA cabinet situation. And I was like, you know what? I think we are going to paint it, and we're probably going to paint it a color you really like, but I just don't know about them rainbow polka dots. When it comes to this type of thing, my outlook on it is you just got to compromise. Of course, this playroom is for Ziya and I want her to like it, but I also want to like it, you know? And let me just say this, if you have kids or when you have kids, you can do it however you want with your kids in your house. But as for me and my home, The whole point of this IKEA hack is the hack part. Just building the IKEA pieces together and bolting them to the wall, that's not a hack. That's just normal building and installation of normal IKEA stuff. And it's just going to look like normal IKEA stuff, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But the whole point of doing the hack is that I want it to look custom. I want it to be custom, customized to my dimensions and my space and my needs. And I also want to elevate it by adding details and just making the whole thing look a little bit more luxe. I really want this thing to go all the way up to the ceiling. I want it to be a true floor to ceiling, wall to wall, custom built in. I just had an epiphany as I looked at how much space there is between the shelf and the ceiling. We have extension pieces to go on top, one level of extensions. But in theory, to reach the ceiling, can we just stack two extenders on top of each other? Does it fit? It's perfect!
Oh my gosh!
And then you put a piece of molding just going across it.
Are you doing just molding and not arches?
That would be easier. Except there's a problem.
You're not gonna be able to attach it properly.
You're not.
And I don't think it'll fit the same because of that middle seam.
To visualize.
It was never going to be symmetrical with the arch, even if you left it like that.
Well, so what it does is when you put the doors on it, it creates the illusion that these are equal 3 panels when the doors are closed. And then the arch, the original plan with the arch, not doing it like that, but having it just be one big thing. You see what I mean?
Wait, but if we have an arch and the doors.
The doors, y'all gotta look at my drawing.
I looked at your drawing. I think there is something wrong.
So in my drawing, the doors go up to here, and it's 3. Split, 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 so it looks very symmetrical. When you have the doors on, you don't realize that it's a 2-1 situation. It looks like 3.
Where's the arch?
The arch is on top with none of this in the middle, so it's just an arch.
Okay.
So it's just one big empty hole to top it off. To give it that extra razzle dazzle and that custom feel, I really, really want the arch detail on the top. And I know it's possible. I've definitely seen other people do it, but it's just sounding a little complicated. So after seeing the rug and thinking about it, I've decided go big or go home. I do want to paint the IKEA cabinets a shade of pink to match the rug. So now I have to find that exact shade of pink to match the rug, because if I choose the wrong shade of pink, that could easily clash really bad with the rug and just throw the whole room off. So I've got a whole bunch of pink paint swatches, probably every shade of pink within this family that you can get. And I'm comparing it to the rug to make sure that it coordinates. I'm not necessarily trying to match the shade exactly, but I just want it to coordinate. From there, once I narrow it down, I can go and get some actual paint samples and do some swatches so I can see what the true color really looks like. So, do these have, I was trying to see if they had the hinge spots on both sides so you can choose. So, measuring the gap to line up with this, or, this.
What do you mean line up?
Like where the point of the arch hits, lines up with
Okay.
that. This margin matches up with this.
Yeah, and so will the arch be cut off at the top of the door or underneath it?
Either way, there's a seam there or like a line of demarcation, you know what I mean?
What if we I'll just bring it down like a 1/4 inch, because I would just like the door to cover that seam, so there's not like...
But isn't that gonna make the door not lay right?
Oh?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't see why it needs to go behind it though. I really wanna do the molding piece going along the top.
I feel like molding piece, I would also like to do it, but I kind of want to get everything else in place.
Basically, we would get the molding piece and make our arch to fit within that.
Yeah.
We do the arch last as like whatever fits. We know that it needs to start there, but like the height of it is gonna be dependent on the molding.
That's 47 1/4.
Side pieces.
11 by 14. The top piece is 47 1/4.
45.5 by 14.
Which is the height.
Then the two pieces is
11 by 14. And then we need one for the top, that is 47 1/4.
So I know this is probably making no sense to you right now, but basically our plan for the top of this IKEA hack is that we are going to make our own custom Billy bookcase extension pieces. The IKEA Billy bookcase comes at a certain height, and then you can get extension pieces to make it taller, which we got, but it's still not tall enough to reach the ceiling. So we're making our own custom sized extension pieces to go on top of the extension piece to make it double extended. And then on our custom extension piece, we're gonna make a face that goes on the front of it that has that arch detail cut out of it. This whole top part is really what's going to set this cabinet off and make it look luxe and not just like some standard IKEA stuff. But I'm feeling like this is really going to test the limits of our DIY skills. Zoe has some experience with this type of stuff. I have no experience with this type of stuff. And I also don't have any of the tools needed for this project. So we're gonna have to go to Home Depot. And little did I know that this was just the first of many trips to Home Depot for this project. Home Depot, if you're watching, please sponsor me. Baby's first power tool.
Ooh.
This is exciting but intimidating. I am happy and scared. I am nervous and feeling proud of myself at the same time. I just bought my first power tool. I'm leveling up in the DIY world. I really feel like I just jumped up a level, because it's one thing when you're used to working with a sewing machine, a hot glue gun, you know, little things like that. But when you level up to jigsaw, I don't know, it just has a certain ring to it.
Let's go get some paint samples.
I don't know which ones to get.
Yes, I think
Look at all these colors.
Exactly. Pick 3 to 4, 5 paint samples. We will have a fun time painting the samples on the wall tomorrow.
So I chose my 3 paint options that I wanted to swatch and test out. And I decided that I wanted to do a high gloss finish for the type of paint. You know, you can do eggshell, flat matte, semi-gloss, high gloss. I thought high gloss would be perfect for the cabinets just because, number one, I thought it would look cool. You know, the glossy, shiny finish would just be a cool textural thing in the room. But also on the little chart, it said it was recommended for cabinets because cabinets are like a high traffic area. You're constantly touching it and setting things down. And the high gloss paint apparently is a lot more durable and cleanable. You know, you can wipe it down a lot easier. So I've already got it in my mind that once I choose my final color, I'm gonna be getting it in the high gloss finish. Little did I know that high gloss paint is actually the most difficult finish of paint to work with. The prep process and getting this type of paint to look good is actually very time consuming and is a little bit more of an advanced process, but I didn't know that. So this is gonna come back and haunt me later. .4, so you could do 3 of those.
We do 3 of those, but we don't need that yet.
Well, we need to, because
we can bring it back with the receipt and get it cut.
Oh.
Well, I mean, since we're here,
yeah.
You're right. Okay, so we'll get 3 of these.
Are you planning on backing out of this project, Zoe?
Am I?
We might as well get the whole kit and caboodle. This is so exciting. This is my first ever woodworking project. I know I keep saying this, but I have never done anything like this before. And I just feel cool. I feel cool, like I'm in Home Depot, not just in the little front part with the light bulbs and the little, you know, level 1 stuff. I'm in the back of Home Depot getting large pieces of lumber. Like we're back there with the professionals who are getting ready to go to their real construction jobs, okay? We're back there with the men with the work belts and the work boots on. Okay, it just felt really cool being back there and getting the wood cut. That was my first time doing that or seeing that process. But unfortunately, this Home Depot location did not have all the types of wood that we needed. So we are gonna have to circle back, but this is a good starting point.
Pretty.
Do a large enough area to really tell, you know?
Yeah.
Promising. For that being the lightest shade, I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the other ones are gonna be pretty dark.
That looks just like the color.
That's my favorite. This is my favorite for a reason, obviously. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to paint the walls of the room the same exact color that I'm going to paint the IKEA cabinets, and kind of do this color drench trend that I've been seeing going around, where you literally drench the room in the same color. So I've seen people do the walls, the baseboards, the, you know, built-in cabinets that are up against the wall, the ceiling, the windowsill, the door, everything that's like on the wall or near the wall is all painted the same color, and it just gives this like super monochromatic look. Now it is a current trend. It's not a traditional classic timeless approach, but again, I want to make this room fun. I want to make it colorful. I feel like if I'm gonna do it up, might as well do it big and do something cool and different. I might regret this idea. I might not even actually do this idea, but that's the idea. So since that's the idea, I'm actually leaning towards the lightest of the 3 pink paint colors. That way it won't be too overpowering. Another part of the IKEA hack is adding baseboards to the bottom of the unit to really give it that built-in all-in-one complete look. But in order to do that, we actually need to cut out some of the existing baseboards on the wall so that the unit can be flush against the wall, and so that the baseboards from the wall will end up kind of trailing into the baseboards of the unit, and it'll end up looking like one big finished seamless thing in the end, hopefully. So we're already using the real IKEA Billy bookcase extension pieces to add on top of the bookcase to make it taller. And then we're adding our own custom extension pieces on top of that. So with all of this stacking, we need to make sure that everything is connected and anchored to the wall really, really well. But once everything is connected and anchored in, it is going to be very difficult to go back and scoot anything around or fix any mistakes. We will have to take the whole thing down and the whole thing apart, and I really don't want to do that. So we're trying to be super careful and make sure of what we're doing. And again, I was thinking this part was going to be the easy part. So far, we're just following the normal standard IKEA instructions. We're putting the IKEA pieces together. We're anchoring the IKEA pieces to the wall. They give you the little instruction booklet on how to do that. That's supposed to be the easy standard part. But we keep running into issues and noticing little things that we weren't expecting, such as how one piece of the unit won't go all the way up against the wall because there's an outlet right there that it's bumping into. So we had to bring that piece down and cut a little chunk out of the back of the cabinet. That way it could kind of go around the outlet and lay flush against the back wall. And we've also got to cut a square hole out of one of the cabinets to allow for the thermostat to peek through.
I'm gonna do a couple scores on each edge, and then I should be able to punch through it.
Mommy said, wow, wow.
I don't know if this is a wow moment yet. Is it low?
Why does it look short?
Dang it.
Wow!
Measure twice, cut once, everybody.
Measure once, cut twice, personally.
I knew we were gonna have to do this. We talked about this in the first episode because I wanted the cabinets to go further across the wall and the little thermostat was right there and it was gonna be too much hoopla to try to rewire and move the thermostat elsewhere. I was like, let's just cut a hole out of the cabinet. That way we can still see and use the thermostat. It did take us 2 tries to get that right. We really tried to measure twice, cut once, but we measured like 6 times and cut twice. But all in all, it ended up fine. Then we went back to Home Depot to get some more supplies. And for those keeping track at home, this is now our 3rd Home Depot trip in just 2 days. And I thought that was gonna be it. It was not it. Also, the primer that we bought was ridiculously expensive. It was like $70 or $80 a gallon, which I wasn't expecting, but this is the primer that everyone online was recommending, especially for this IKEA stuff. If you've ever tried it at home, you know that you cannot paint on top of IKEA stuff at all. Whatever it comes finished with just like repels paint and it just won't stick or it'll just scratch right off. So you have to have a really, really good primer for your paint to be able to stick. And now I think the team definitely deserves a slushy break. Now this is where things get really chaotic. We knew that this IKEA hack was gonna be a lot of work, something we've never done before, but we didn't realize just how much work it was actually going to be. We've discovered another issue. Well, issues keep leading into solutions, which keep leading into issues, and it's just like an ongoing domino effect. We forgot that we wanted to put a tarp under the shelves before we anchored them in because we wanted to have that ready for painting so we don't get paint on the carpet. We forgot to do that. We anchored them all in. Now it's gonna be really hard to paint all the way down. I mean, I was like, we could try to tape the carpet right there so that we can paint all the way down the baseboards. So we cut this chunk off the baseboard to demonstrate. I think it looks really nice and it looks more like a custom built-in if you continue your baseboard around the front of the thing. I see a lot of people doing that with their IKEA hacks. Luckily, we cut our hole too big, but just perfectly too big to fit that in there like that. However, with the way the IKEA thing is, there's like a space right here, but I have this random piece of wood. So to further demonstrate, I think we'd have to like put a little shiv, if you will, in between to make it flush, and then it would look really nice from the front. We caulk it, we paint it, sand it, it looks seamless. You see the vibes? And I feel like that would look really nice going along. And it helps our painting problem because then we paint this separately and then you just put it on the front so you don't have to worry about bringing the paint all the way down on here to the carpet. But it does involve yet another trip to Home Depot and extra work. But I think it'll look good in the end. Welcome to sand and prime hell. We had to sand, then clean, then paint the primer on both sides twice of every single piece of this IKEA cabinet situation. And there were a lot of pieces between the actual structure that was attached to the wall already, all the shelves that go in it, and all the doors that go on the outside, plus our extra custom pieces that we will be adding to the top, plus the crown molding and the baseboards. There are so many pieces to this project that need to be sanded. And sanded well, not just a little shooka done, sanded grind it down. Then you gotta clean all that sawdust and dust and debris off really, really good. Then you gotta prime it, but prime it good, because remember, we're working with high gloss paint. And for high gloss paint, you need a really smooth surface, because any little lump, bump, and divot is gonna show really bad with that high gloss paint. So when you're sanding it, you gotta sand it like you mean it. When you're painting the primer on, you gotta be careful. Some of the doors have glass windows that need to be taped off before you can paint, because you don't want to get paint on the glass. We went through so many sheets of sandpaper. Zoe already had an electric sander, but halfway through I was like, I need to go buy another electric sander to help speed up the process, so I bought one. We went through 3 gallons of that $80 primer and ruined several paint rollers and paint brushes in the process, because that primer is like shellac based, which means it does not wash out with soap and water at all. You have to use mineral spirit to try to break it down and wash it out. But essentially, if you leave it there for a few minutes, it dries super fast and then it's donezo. You can't wash it. You can't save your brushes. So I just gave up on trying to even wash the brushes or the rollers. So basically at the end of each day, whatever brush and roller we were using was now trash, and we needed a new brush and a new paint roller for the next day. And when I tell you this whole priming process took several days, it took us nearly 2 full weeks of working on this every single day just for the sanding and priming process. And that was with myself, Zoe, Michaela, who was supposed to just be the videographer, but at some point she had to just put the camera down and help us sand. So we didn't even get footage to truly represent the horror. And then I had to call in for backup. So I called my parents to come help one of the days. My uncle happened to be in town, so he helped out too. And even with all hands on deck, it still felt like we were never going to finish sanding and priming this damn IKEA cabinet. First stroke. Oh, I love how you can't see it at all. This is gonna be really hard to know. But eventually, we finally finished. I won't say that our craftsmanship was the best, because we were starting to get tired. We were starting to kind of slack off a little bit, I think. I think we stopped caring if the glossy finish was gonna be perfectly glossy. I think we just wanted to get it done. And when we finally got it done, that was just like the first step. Now we still have to do so many more things to actually finish the cabinet. So what I'm doing right now is taking these connector screws, which look like this. It's 2 pieces that screw into each other. These are to squeeze each section together so they're super flush and connected. You use the existing little holes that are right here, but you have to drill the holes bigger because these are too fat. So I'm drilling the holes so I can put the connector screws through. We unfortunately messed up the first one because we drilled it in that hole where we're gonna need that hole to put the door on. Right there. The way that the door is attached, they need the smaller holes for the screws for that. So we shouldn't have drilled that hole because that's where the door attached. So we're gonna have to like problem solve that later. But for now, I've now calculated where it is okay to put these, where we don't need to connect the doors. It's so complicated, but I'm figuring that out. So I'm just going through connecting every single chunk together in multiple spots all the way down so it's super secure and super flush. And then from there, we still have to do a lot of things. Okay, I'm done adding the connector screws. So you can see here where I put one and it just helps squeeze these 2 units together so it's super flush. There are still areas where it has a little bit of a crack, but it's a big improvement. I'm not gonna put a million connector screws all the way down because that's just doing too much, but I think I put enough to get it, you know, flush enough. And now for the actual cracks, the seams. So I got this fast dry latex caulk, and I'm just gonna go along all the seams where the units connect to kind of like fill that in and make it look nice and finished. and smooth and flush so you don't see any of these like actual cracks right here. And I probably will go along the wall as well. We'll see. And so I went in and caulked all the seams throughout the whole unit, which is another part of the IKEA hack that helps it not look like IKEA stuff and look just more like one big thing, seamless, custom, a little bit more luxe. Just like these little details that kind of take it up a notch. Safety first.
Well, like more like third.
Third. Safety at some point, at least.
For real.
Huzzah!
Scary noise.
Okay. The sanding and priming was the most annoying part of the project, but building the arches is the most intimidating part of the project. This part can really make or break the whole thing. And this is the part where we're actually building something from scratch. We're cutting wood, we're drawing and cutting this arch ourselves, we're building the structure and attaching it on. And we do not have an exact tutorial to follow to tell us step by step, move by move what to do. We've watched some tutorials that give us like a general idea of how to maybe approach it, but people are doing different configurations, different sizes, different situations that just don't exactly apply to what I'm doing. So we're really having to make it up ourselves, essentially. And if these arches don't look good, it's just gonna ruin the whole thing. I mean, it's gonna be so noticeable if it's like not cut smooth or not equal or not symmetrical. That's just gonna look real hodgepodge and janky and DIY. I do not want people to walk in this room and look at these cabinets and be like, you made that yourself, didn't you? No, I want them to look at it, think nothing of it, and think it was professional. We got one thing, one piece attached. Just a few mistakes, few trials and errors, but we figured out a method. We're not using pilot holes, don't tell anyone. But now we know what we're doing. Hopefully it continues to work. I am super proud of us for building these arches ourselves. Are they perfect? No. Did we have to build both of them, realize that there was something wrong, unbuild both of them and rebuild both of them again? Yes, but it was a learning experience. It was my first time doing anything like this. First time using a jigsaw, first time putting together like a wooden structure like this. I definitely learned a lot. Shout out to Zoe because she taught me a lot and helped me so much throughout this whole project, but especially during this part. And it was just really cool to be able to say like, I made this from scratch. And honestly, I think they turned out well. I think they're gonna get the job done. I think they're gonna look good. I don't think anybody is gonna be able to tell the struggle that went into it, hopefully. So I'm proud. Okay, we are finally ready to paint the damn thing pink. This is what we have all been waiting for. This is the part that Ziya kept asking me about every day when she got home from school. Is it time to do the pink paint yet? Is it time to do the pink paint? When are we gonna paint it? When are we gonna paint it? When is it gonna be the pink paint? Now it's time. Since I have PTSD from the primer situation and trying to hand roll and hand paint that on everything, I learned my lesson and I invested in a paint sprayer. I was a little bit nervous and skeptical. This is about a $200 purchase and I've never used this before. I've seen some mixed reviews on how easy it is to use and how well it works, but I needed something to help us through this next painting process because the primer process was so bad.
So we just spent the past few weeks sanding and priming and sanding and priming and sanding. While you were gone, I finished sanding the stuff that's already built together upstairs. So we should be ready to start with the pink paint.
Finally, literally, that was traumatic.
The Flexio 3500, best for fine finish, small room, small exterior, and medium exterior.
This is a variable speed handheld sprayer, paint and stain.
It's really luxurious. Your mom picked it up for us.
This is supposed to be one of the best on the market. It's the newer one.
That's what the people say.
We watched lots of YouTube videos and whatnot. We're probably gonna have to watch a few more because now it's time to open this up, figure out how to use it. Hopefully it works well and hopefully it makes this last round of painting less traumatizing. Comes in a nice little case. I'm really building my construction girly arsenal here with my power tools and whatnot. Instructions, who needs them?
Oh, we have 2 different containers.
The actual gun. And you don't need any like air compression. This is the thing. You just need an extension cord because for some reason they decided to make the cord only this long.
They're like, we know you're gonna have to have an extension cord anyways, so it's gonna be your issue and not ours.
So what's the difference between, is it just size? Because it looks different.
I think there's like a fine finish and then there's like, if you're doing like a larger project, I think we're gonna want the fine finish.
After watching a quick YouTube tutorial, because I didn't feel like reading this thick booklet of instructions, it says you can practice with water first. So we're just gonna put some water in it, take it outside, test it out, go from there. Okay, that's really hard to...
There's no feedback.
This is the air power, this is the width, so this would be the, yeah. Where's the English? We're on the back. Let's turn it, crank it up to 6. See if that feels. Oh, that's why. Now it actually feels like a trigger. Very professional technique on how to mix paint. So that's 1,000. This is in increments of 800, 900, 1,000. So, and then we would just do up to another notch of water for 10%. If that's enough. I don't know if we would want to add more water to thin it out more, because they said 10 to 20%. Oh yeah, I guess a little goes a long way with adding water because that's thin. First official spray on the actual pieces, starting on the back side of an interior shelf, the least important, least gonna show spot, just in case. Here we go.
That looks pretty good.
Piece of fuzz just landed on it, but we have to be careful about that.
Yeah.
There is still some of that orange peel texture, and I just nicked the paint with my nail.
There is still.
That's only if you're like really looking at it. And remember what I told you about DIYs? Don't look at it very closely.
I mean, it's not a mirror glass finish by any means.
Maybe once we do 2 coats.
It's splashing back on me really bad. I need to have goggles and stuff on. The paint spray gun ended up being an amazing investment, and I am so glad that I bought it. It worked really well. It was relatively easy to use. It made the process go by much faster, and I think it made our paint application go on much smoother as well. And although the pink painting process was not nearly as bad as the primer painting process, it was still a lot because we did still have to do 2 coats of pink paint on both sides of every single piece. So although the spraying process was pretty quick, we had to allow for dry time in between each coat and dry time before we could flip over, so it still took several days. Now that most of the pink paint process is done, we can move on to some of the final finishing details. I want to add crown molding to the top edge of the cabinets and the baseboards to the bottom edge. Both of those things have to be cut to size, then painted, then attached on. So we bought a miter box and saw to be able to cut the molding and everything, and Zoe was helping me cut them. That miter box worked, but not well. So I may need to invest in like an actual table saw if I'm gonna be doing more stuff like this in the future.
So I have the baseboard here. It says flush to the wall as it can be. I've noted that my cut needs to start here, and I need a 45-degree angle going out this way. I'll cut this piece, and then I'll cut this piece the other way to match it, and hopefully it will be as simple as that.
Okay, our 2 angles are perfect 45-degree cuts.
They're
And
so
then they
perfect.
just match up just like that.
Nice.
It's pretty good. Okay, so now we need to see how much more do we need on this side. Okay, so our first piece ends here. Our second piece flush to the wall on the other side lines up here. So this is where we'll need to cut it to fill in the rest.
This comes out about 1/4 of an inch. So we got these 1/4 inch thickness hobby boards, and we cut them to size. So now we're adding some liquid nails and actual nails to hold it in place. That way when we put our baseboards on, it won't be
Flush, and there won't be like that little gap showing.
and we'll like caulk it and paint it and everything so it looks nice. Just get in there, dude.
So if this is really supposed to lay flat against the door, it would be trying to close on top of the baseboard.
I'm pretty sure that with the way the hinges are adjustable, I think it's okay.
What we need for it to look right is for the baseboards to not be going up to here, but to be only going up to the bottom edge of that.
It's not hitting the inside, it's hitting the
Well,
this.
either way, that doesn't look good.
You're gonna have a door in front of it.
Not always, when it's open. So when Zoe and I started to add the baseboards to the unit, I realized that something didn't look right, didn't feel right. And sure enough, we were not doing our plan to plan. We have to do it a certain way so that the doors will fit on, long story short, and we were putting the pieces on wrong. But I'm glad that I realized that mistake early on before we did the whole thing and before the glue and everything dried, because we were able to pull it off pretty easily, and I will have to go back and reattach it and do it correctly later. But that's kind of the theme of this project. I haven't shown you every step of the way, and we didn't get it on camera every single time, but when I tell you we messed up every single step of this project, I mean it. So when I say that this whole thing has been a learning experience, boy, did we learn. All right, y'all, it is Saturday, November 11th. We started this IKEA hack on October 23rd. I did go out of town for a few days in between. So for me, this is day 14, working on this project pretty much all day, if not most of the day, for 14 days, with of course tons of help from Zoe and Michaela. I also had help from my mom and dad, and even my uncle here and there, and even Ziya is trying to help where she can. Zoe did work on it while I was out of town. She's been doing a lot of the sanding. She is the resident sanding expert now. But said all that to say, myself, Zoe, Michaela, we have all been working on this project. When I say working, I mean putting in hours and hours for, like I said, a few weeks now. And this is where we're at. It is my goal to complete this project by tomorrow because of the fact that I have other things in life that I need to move on and do. I need this room to stop being under construction. We need to wrap this up, but also I want to get this content out for you guys. So here's where we're at. The most tedious part of this project has been the sanding, priming, painting process of all these individual pieces here. There's more pieces down in the garage, and then of course, all of this that's already built onto the wall is included in that as well. That's what I've been mostly working on. That's what I'm still trying to finish up in the garage right now. But all of these pieces are done and ready to go. So that's major progress, as well as everything that's built in on the wall is done being painted and ready to go. So I'm feeling like I'm seeing the light at the end of the painting tunnel. I just finished doing a coat of paint on everything you see here in my garage, but all of these doors still are not painted on their backside. So I had to flip those over and do 2 coats of pink paint on there, plus accounting for dry time in between the coats of paint. So that's what's making it take super long. But once these pieces are dry like this and I can flip them over and paint the 2 coats of paint on the other side, that will be the end of the painting for the most part. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm waiting for these to dry. I'm gonna do those last few coats of paint and we're almost there. Now, while I'm waiting for that stuff downstairs to dry, I want to start assembling some of the pieces up here that still need to be attached. So I have these baseboard pieces here that Zoe helped me measure and cut. So they're already the exact size. They're already painted. We painted these first before attaching them because it would have been really hard to paint them when they're sitting right on top of the carpet. We probably would have got paint all over the carpet. So we thought this was a smarter way to do it. I am still gonna have to do a little bit of touch-up paint. So we already tried to do this one way, but it was wrong. It wasn't working, it wasn't looking right. So now I've got to try to figure out a different way to do this. I'm just gonna be gluing it in place mainly with liquid nails and then putting a few actual nails in it where needed. But let's see, I don't know. Starting with this side piece, actually, I should be able to just glue this straight on. Glue. We've already measured and cut this and beveled the corner so it'll make a nice corner. There is gonna be a little bit of a gap. Okay, easy enough. Don't mind our messy paint job. I'll have to clean that and fix that, but just adding this baseboard trim around the bottom is gonna give this whole thing a nice custom finished look. But now for this whole front piece, I've gotta add the little extra piece of wood on the inside to fill in the hole. I need to mark where I'm putting it. So you can see that little sliver of wood filling in the gap, because without it, the way this IKEA stuff is, when I try to press the baseboard up against it, it's pressed up against this, but then there's this little gap right here where the shelf is, and I didn't want that to just be open for who knows what to just be falling in there. So I wanted to have this extra piece of wood in there, and then I'll paint it, caulk it, it'll all be pink and hopefully won't be noticeable. Okay, so now that I've got all my little gap filler pieces on my baseboard, I'm going to use the liquid nails again. This is just to kind of help me hold it for now. Did I mention I'm making this up off the top of my head pretty much? Okay, so I got the baseboards attached and I have, you know, the little extra pieces of wood in there to fill in the gaps for the most part. Is this the proper way to do this? Not at all, but it is on there. So now I'm going to put caulk all on top of here where this wood is showing, and then just like filling in the tiny gaps so that it kind of all blends together into one thing, and then I'll paint over it so hopefully it blends nicely, but I don't know, we're gonna see. Okay, so here's how it looks after being caulked. I'm not a great caulker, but as long as you wipe it good, you know, clean it up so it's not all chunky and messy, I feel like that's all that matters. So I did my best. This is definitely a trust the process situation. While I let that caulk and everything dry before I can paint over it, I'm trying to think what I can do in the meantime to maximize my time. I think the stuff in the garage still needs a little bit more drying time before I can flip it over and paint the other side. I do need to attach the molding to the top and kind of like put the shelves in place. So maybe I'll do that next. I'm not gonna be doing any more heavy duty painting. It's just like a little hand touch-up painting from here on out, or it should be. So I should be able to take down all of our like tarping and stuff. Right here is where the thermostat is. So there's just a little patch of wall, and this is kind of rugged. I wanna like trim it out with something. That's a later date problem. The main thing is right now, it's there, we can use the thermostat, and I'll make it look cuter somehow later. I'm gonna go ahead and start taking all this stuff down. Very unsatisfying tape removal. Definitely got some overspray here, but I'm still not even sure what I'm gonna do with this wall. It might have wallpaper on it, it might be painted. Pretty sure it's not gonna be left white. So honestly, all this overspray doesn't really matter because I'm gonna end up going over it with something else anyway. Okay, for the crown molding, I'm a little nervous about this because this is a similar process to attaching the baseboards, and that went okay, but it's a little bit different. I've got to put it on at like the perfect angle. I don't have anyone here helping me like hold it in place. I'm gonna use the same process of liquid nails, essentially gluing it on and then nailing it in as well. We've already got our pieces cut and painted and stuff, so they should just fit right into place. The hard part is gonna be doing this by myself with no one like helping me, because this liquid nail stuff takes a long time to dry and it like just doesn't actually like stick. Okay, it's kind of holding it. The liquid nails is holding it up there. Oh, I dropped it. This is not a one woman who doesn't know what she's doing job. Okay, a little bit more glue. Denting, every time I miss and I just hit the wood, it dents the wood. Hitting this hard but accurately is not easy at this angle. I'm denting this so bad. All right, that's gonna have to be good enough. It's up there. Now, how am I gonna do that for the big front piece going across the front? Another YouTube tutorial. We have now been working on this project for 3 weeks, I want to say, and my spirit was starting to be a little bit broken. I was exhausted, to say the least. I was ready to be done. And when it came time to put that crown molding up, I thought it was going to be easy. I was just going to kind of glue it in place, tack it in place with some nails, easy peasy. It's already cut, it's already painted. I just got to get it up there. But of course, that ended up being nearly impossible. It wouldn't stick, the glue wouldn't hold, the nail wouldn't go in. I don't have a nail gun. I was getting so frustrated. I almost started crying. I almost gave up. I was doing it by myself. Didn't have anyone there to help me hold it up or anything. But I stopped. I took a deep breath and I was like, you know what would probably hold it? Gorilla Glue. My hair, it don't move. This crown molding, it don't need to move. One thing about me, I may not know what I'm doing and I may not do it right, but I know how to rig it up to at least make it look pretty much how it's supposed to look. Can't speak to the craftsmanship. Durability may be subpar, but is it up there? Is it sturdy enough? Does it look pretty much how it's supposed to look from the outside when it's all said and done? That's all that matters. I think I just officially sprayed my last spray of paint, aside from some little touch-up work that I'm gonna do by hand with a little brush upstairs, but for the most part, I believe that was my last coat of paint that I just finished. Okay, just to kind of show you the before and after, here's the area that I painted already and the paint is dry and it actually blended in better than I thought. It's not perfect, but again, it just has to be good enough. So you can see how it's looking real seamless. Well, a lot more seamless than it was. I could probably go over it. I need to maybe do another coat of paint just to touch up some of the areas, but you see how it just sort of all blends together in one piece now. And when you look down on it, you don't really notice anything weird. It just looks like it was, you know, meant to be like that. So I'm just going down and painting the rest. So here's like the before. You can see the wood in between and all the caulk and stuff and the nails. And you know, I wasn't sure if this is gonna work because it's literally just like making stuff up, but it's turning out pretty good. So I'm happy with it. I'm actually surprised at how well this is turning out, being that, you know, I'm not following like a strict tutorial. I'm literally like making stuff up. Okay, now that I did my touch-up painting around the crown molding and on the baseboards, I do have to do the ceiling touch-up paint, like get that white paint out and fix it up there. I'm gonna do that later. And then, like I said, these areas here, I'm gonna end up doing something else here. So I'm just gonna leave this mess for now, but definitely need to clean up the ceiling. In the meantime, I'm feeling like, actually, I know for sure there's gonna be additional touch-up painting needed because of the way that the shelves are scraping as I'm trying to get them in there. I don't really know any other way around it because just the shelves are just such a tight fit. It's just scraping really bad. Some worse than others, but all of them are scraping to some degree. I'm trying to be as careful and gentle as I can, but it just like, I think it's unavoidable. This wasn't really something that I thought about. Don't know if there was something else I was supposed to do to prevent this. Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and put all the shelves in and let it get scraped up and then just go back and touch up the paint while I've still got my paint out. Okay, that one went, oh no, it scraped a tiny bit, but that almost went in without scraping. It's just so not exactly anything. So as I am putting the shelves in place, I'm trying to be smart about how I'm putting them to make sure that the stuff we're gonna put in here actually will fit nicely. So like that one over there, I only put one shelf. That way we would have bigger spots for bigger stuff like this. Here I put 3 equal shelves in these little containers that we used in the organizational video. Check out that video, episode 1 of this series if you haven't seen it. They actually fit really nicely there. Ziya has an idea.
I thought maybe we could have like the baby dolls up here, maybe just sitting down, and then maybe down here we could have stuffed animals because these are like good for like the stuffed animals to be in the row and the babies to be in the row. And maybe if it doesn't work and we can't fit all of the baby dolls, we can have them standing up so we could like fit some in the front and some in the back.
Or maybe if they don't fit, we should donate some baby dolls.
No!
Maybe you have too many baby dolls if they don't fit in this giant cabinet.
We're not donating.
Good thing is I don't have to worry about making the toy storage so aesthetically pleasing because there will be the solid doors on the lower part. Only the upper part has glass, so we'll make that look more cute with what we put on the shelves. But here it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to make sure it fit and kind of see how these fit. Okay, that's perfect. It's literally a perfect fit. I bought the exact perfect containers for this, I think. And even this, like, fits like that. Okay, cool. So far so good with the test run of the shelves. Just have a few more shelves to put in place. I did, however, realize that my calculations were a bit off with how I thought I wanted these upper shelves to go. They're just like a little bit uneven. I believe this lower shelf needs to be moved down just one slot to kind of balance it out. I did fill in the holes, but I can still drill them back out if absolutely necessary. It's just gonna be a lot of hoop because I already put all of them in and it looks okay, but I know it's gonna bother me long term. So probably eventually I'll fix this and fix the spacing, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, shelves are all in place. I also touched up the paint from everywhere that it scratched, which ended up working out fine. So I think that crisis has been averted. You really can't tell. So now pretty much the last step is putting the doors on, but although the doors are done being painted finally, there is still some prep work before I can put them on. These are the smaller glass window doors that go across the top row. And although we tried really hard to tape them off with painter's tape and cover them up with paper and everything while they were being painted, there was still some paint that seeped through, some overspray, some worse than others on the back and front. So I bought this. It's a glass scraper. I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're supposed to use it for, but I was using just a plain razor blade, like a loose blade, to like scrape it off, and it was working. But this actually has like a handle on it, so I feel like it might be easier and better. Hopefully it works. So I've got to scrape and clean and touch up all 6 of these, as well as the bigger ones. Paper and tape still needs to be pulled off of all 6 of these bigger windows here, and I'm sure there will be some paint cleanup and scraping required on those as well. My parents had actually been out of town and they got back in town at about 6:30 p.m. and shout out to them because they came straight from the airport to my house to help me finish this project and put the doors onto the cabinets, which I thought was, again, why do I keep thinking this? I thought that was gonna be easy because it's just putting the hinges on and putting the doors on the hinges. But for some reason, even with my mom, my dad, and myself, and even Ziya was helping with parts of it, it took us a good like 3 hours to put the doors on. But that was the last step and we are finally done.
Yay! Good job, team! Good job, team! Did you help? Did you help?
All in all, I have to rate the final result maybe like a 7 out of 10. There are definitely some mistakes, some flaws, some little oopsie areas. Some stuff I feel like I was able to, camouflage it pretty well and it's probably not really noticeable to the naked eye. Like if you went up there, you probably wouldn't notice it. But then there is some stuff that honestly is kind of noticeable, but I was like, you know what? It's nothing I can do about it. So I give it like a 7 out of 10. But all in all, it looks like my design. It looks like my rendering. We did it. We did it, Joe. We did the arches, we did the crown molding, we did the baseboards, and we painted the whole thing pink inside and out with the high gloss finish. So I'm happy with it. It's definitely unique. The main thing is that I hope I don't regret it like 6 months, a year from now and feel like, man, I should have just left it a neutral color. That way it would be more timeless and more versatile. But honestly, Ziya loves it, of course. She loves pink and she's much happier with a pink set of cabinets than a plain white set of cabinets. And this is her room, so I'm happy to give her that. Huge, huge shout out to Zoe, Michaela, my mom, my dad, and even my uncle who stopped by and helped one of the days for helping with this project. Like I said, it took like 3 weeks. I did the math and I wanna say there were at least 120 hours of work put into this project, at least, probably more than that. And so just shout out to my support system for helping me out, because I absolutely would not at all have been able to do this project by myself. So just word to the wise, if y'all are thinking about doing something like this, it's not easy and it's going to take a long time. Let me just tell you. And now we have the whole rest of the room to make over. We still gotta paint the walls, we gotta do curtains, furniture, accessories, we gotta do all the things to bring this whole room together. So stay tuned for the next episode.